नमस्ते मित्रों, खुश रहिए. I JVN Muskan Kumari from the Department of Science and Technology, and I am working here as an assistant professor Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University and the Faculty of Education and Methodology. So today's your session is basic. What is the need of classifications? Before this session, I have mm, discussed the clustering and what are the informations regarding the clustering, like their algorithm, their techniques, their methods, and whatever the models we will use in the clusterings. With that, all points I have discussed in the previous sessions. But now in this session, I will only discuss the classification, the need of the classification, isn't it? And what are the various algorithms regarding the classification. So to make it in easy way to understanding to all of you students, I'm just going to share some files which will help you to easily understanding the things regarding the classifications, their algorithms, isn't it? So and the need of that one. So this one is the uh, mm, files which I have shared with you, and now I'm discussing these all the terms. So here, the need of the classification. Classification is what? Firstly, classification is the process of predicting the class of given the data points. Suppose there is a class and there all the data points are given to you, and you have to predict the class of all the given points in that or the data set, isn't it? Classes are sometimes called the targets or the labels. In classes, there you can also call, like sometimes they you have the targets in the class categories. Classification predictive modeling is the task of approximating and mapping function that is known as f and input variable that is your x to discrete output like variables y. For example, spam detection in email service provider can be identified by classification problem. Whatever the spam detection in your mail, if you have to find out that ones or identify that ones, then you need to use the classification, isn't it? And this is a type of the classification problem. So this is a binary classification since there are only two classes, spam and not spam. Like in binary there are only two values, so this is similar as that ones, that there is only two classes, one will be your spam, another will be not spam. In classifier utilizes some training data also to understand how to give input variables relate to the classes. Okay, so in this class, non-spam and non-spam emails have to be used as a training data or the input training data. When classifier is trained accurately, then it can be used to detect your unknown emails also. Classification belongs also to the category of supervised learning, and your clustering is basically clustering is your associated with the unsupervised learning, and classification is supervised learning where the targets are also provided to with the input, that you have this set of the inputs and you have to achieve this target as a output, isn't it? So there are many applications in the classification also domains like the credit approval, medical diagnosis, target marketing, etc. So there are two types of learner in the classification. One will be the lazy learner, another will be the eager learner. Lazy learner works what? Lazy learner simply store your training data and wait until a testing data appears. Isn't it? They are taking you the training data or the input as a training data and wait until for the processing and get the resultant output which is matched to your the targeted output, isn't it? So when it does, classification conducted based on the most related data is stored in the training data also, and compared to the eager learners, lazy learner have less training time but more time in predicting. Okay, this will use the multiple algorithm like the key nearest neighbor algorithm, case based reasoning algorithm, or techniques. These all the things. models. Okay, so now comes to the eager learner. What is the role of eager learner and what work play the eager learner? If we talk about these ones, so eager learner constructs the classification model which is based on your given training data, and before receiving the data for the classification, it must be able to commit to a single hypothesis that covers the entire instances spaces also. Due to some model construction, due to the constructions of some model, eager learner takes the long time for train and less time for the predictions of the output. Okay, and now this is basically using your decision tree net based artificial neural network, which is also known as ANN. Okay, now if you talk about the algorithm which is associated with your this one's classification, is that there are a lot of classification algorithm which is available now, and it is possible to conclude which one is superior to the other. So it depends on the application and nature available uh, data set. So if you talk about the example, so if the classes are linearly separable and the linear classifier file like the logistic regressions, feature linear discriminants can outperform sophisticated model and vice versa. You can see here that this is the decision tree, and for this we are using now multiple algorithms. First is your like decision tree. Here you can see that this is the decision tree. Should I accept the new job offer? Isn't it? Here is the decision node. These are the nodes, and here are the root nodes in which salary at least $50,000. If yes, then communicate more than 1 hour, or communicate more than 1 hour. If this is no, offer free coffee, or if yes, then decline the offer. Okay, and now if this offers free coffee is you are accepting, then this is the accepting of offer, and if no, then declining the offer. And here is what if you are don't need at least this one salary, then you are declining here. If you are doing the no, then decline the offer, isn't it? So these all are here you are saying these all are the leaf nodes, and this one is the root node, and this one becomes the node. Okay, so at each node has a responsibility to take the decisions. Eh, okay, so decision tree builds the classification and also the regression models in the form of the tree structures also. It utilizes an if then rule set which is mutually exclusive and exhaustive for the classification also. The rules are learned sequentially using the training data one at a time. Okay, that's each time a rule is learned and the tuples covered by the rules are removed. And also the tree is constructed in a top-down recursive divide concur manner, top to down bottom. All the attributes should be categorical, and otherwise they should be discretized in the advance. Attributes in the top of the tree have major impact towards the classification, and they are identified using information gain and concept. Okay, so now this is a, precision tree can be easily overfitted, generating too many branches and many reflect anomalies due to noise outlines, and overfitted models have very poor performance. Now if we talk about the naive bayes algorithm as a classification algorithm, then this is the probabilistic classifier inspired by the Bayesian theorem under a simple assumptions which is attributes conditionally independent. Now here is the this is the mathematical formula which is used for the naive Bayes algorithm. Probability of x bar upon ci, and here is the this one's formula, summation k equals to 1 to n p x k on c I equals to p x I, probability ci into p x 2 probability of the C upon CAI into dash and XN and CI. Okay, the classification is conducted by driving the maximum posterior, which is the maximum probability of CI upon X, with the above assumptions applying to Bayesian theorems, isn't it? These assumptions greatly reduce the computational cost by only counting the class distributions also. Okay, naive are very simple algorithm to implement and good results have obtained in most cases. It is easily scalable to large the data set, and since it takes the linear time then rather than by expensive iterative approximation as used for many other types of the classifiers. Okay, so now if we talk about the artificial neural network, so what will be the artificial neural network? As you can see here that there is a input layer, and this is the hidden layer, and this is the output layer. Okay, so total slab area, total length of beams is the another input, total length of columns is another, total area of shear walls is another, story heights is another input, elevation is another, total number of story in the buildings is another input, and these all are connected to all the hidden layers which is presented here, isn't it? These all inputs are connected with those all the hidden layers especially, and then output is resultant, and the from the output which is the resultant from the hidden layer is known as estimated framework labor quantity and man hours. Okay, so, what is the role of the artificial intelligence? Artificial neural network is the set of the connected input-output units where each connection has to weight associated with it, started by psychologists and neurologists to develop and test computational analogs of neurons. During the learning phase, the network learns by adjusting the weights so as to be able to predict the correct class level of the input tuples, and the appropriate architecture depends on the application of the mode. For most cases, feed-forward models give reasonably accurate results, and especially for image processing application, convolution networks perform better. Okay, so there are multiple hidden layers in the model depending in the complexity of the functions also which calculate the complexity, and having the mode hidden layers will enable to model complex relationships such as the deep neural networking, which is also the part of the artificial intelligence. And next one is the key nearest neighbor algorithm. Here you can see that both by three nearest neighbors, here are the three nearest neighbor, and so this is a lazy learning algorithm which stores all the instances corresponds to the training data points in the n-dimensional space. When unknown discrete data is received, it analyzes the closest k number of instances saved that will return the most common class as the predictions, and in real value data it returns the mean of k nearest neighbors also. And here is the formula to find out the k nearest neighbor is w equals to 1 upon d x cube comma xi ka whole square, distance calculating the query, isn't it? So I hope this session is all about the good, and you will read this session once again to better understanding. And if you have any problem, then please put your query regarding this session in the comment section box, through which I will discuss that your query into the next session. And many possible questions, please be prepared from these sessions, like define the lazy learners, define the eager learners, and what is the decision tree, explain it with an example. Okay, so I hope you understand it better, and if you have any problem, then please let me know regarding these ones. Please read this session from the multiple standard book, and also use the different online websites through which your valuable contents can you can get from that resources. Okay, thank you.